Get up and push yourself the Stoic way. Have you ever felt the weight of your own potential? Like something great was trying to break through, but something inside kept pulling you back? Have you ever watched someone else rise while you stayed stuck? Not because they were better, but because they dared to keep going when you paused. And what if the one thing separating the life you dream of from the life you're living is not talent, not luck, but simply the decision to rise again and again? This is where it begins. Welcome to Stoic Zen. This is where we train the will. This is where we learn to win by learning to endure. Recognize your inner power. You already have what you're looking for. You don't need to be saved. You need to be awakened. We spend so much of our lives looking outward for power, books, mentors, methods, systems, but the Stoics remind us what you seek has always been within you. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of an empire and student of his own soul, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That truth is simple, but not easy, because it means you're not a victim of your circumstances. You're the creator of your response to them. Every time you let fear decide, you give that power away. Every time you blame others, you shrink from your potential. But every time you rise, even in doubt, even in exhaustion, you reclaim a piece of your strength. There is a fire in you. It's not loud. It doesn't shout. It waits patiently for you to stop searching outside long enough to notice it. This power is not brute force. It's not domination. It's sovereignty over your emotions, your actions, your life. And the moment you decide to take responsibility, not just for your success, but for your attitude, your effort, your growth, you begin to win. Not by overpowering, but by outlasting, outdisciplining, outcentering. You don't need more motivation. You need more moments where you say, "I will not give up on myself." Because you already have what you're looking for. It's time to claim it. Discover your inner motivation. When you know why, you'll learn how. No one is coming to push you. No one is coming to rescue you. And no one should have to. Because when you truly connect to why you're here, the fire becomes self-fueled. The Stoic doesn't move for applause. He moves for purpose. She doesn't act to impress, she acts to align. So ask yourself, what would make all this struggle worth it? What is so meaningful to you that you'd keep showing up even when no one claps? Even when you fail? Even when it hurts? If you don't know your why, everything will feel heavy. Every delay will feel like a sign to quit. Every failure will feel like the end. But when your reason is deeper than the pain becomes fuel. You don't rise at 5 a.m. because it's trendy. You rise because there's something in you that refuses to settle for a life unlived. Your motivation isn't loud. It's a whisper that says, "I'm not done. I was made for more. I will not abandon the man or woman I am becoming." Let your why be personal. Let it be sacred. And let it pull you when pushing no longer works. Because discipline powered by meaning is stronger than motivation powered by hype. And if you move with meaning, nothing can make you stop. Overcome your fears. Use fear as a compass, not a cage. Fear isn't your enemy. Fear is your signal. It tells you where your growth lives. It tells you where your soul is asking to expand. The Stoics didn't seek comfort. They trained courage. They walked into storms with steady hands and steady hearts, not because they had no fear, but because they refused to be led by it. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And most of our fears, they never come true. What ruins us is not the thing itself, no, but our endless rehearsal of what might happen. So what if, instead of avoiding fear, you started following it? What if the very thing you're scared to do is the exact thing you must do? Afraid to speak your truth? That's where your voice lives. Afraid to begin again? That's where your strength waits. Afraid to be alone? That's where your healing starts. You don't conquer fear by denying it. You conquer it by walking into it, slowly, steadily, stoically. Fear is loud, but your truth is louder if you let it speak. So the next time fear rises, pause, listen, and then step forward, not in the absence of fear, but in defiance of it, because courage is not the lack of fear. It's the refusal to be mastered by it. Here. Develop mental toughness. Train your mind. Like you train your body, strength doesn't begin in the muscles. It begins in the mind. And yet most people train everything except the one thing that matters. Most, their ability to remain centered when the world spins off its axis. Mental toughness isn't about pretending nothing affects you. It's about choosing how you respond when it does, when things fall apart and when they will. Do you spiral, or do you steady yourself? The Stoics trained their minds daily, not through lectures, through life, through practice, through exposure, to discomfort. Because they knew, you do not rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your training, so train yourself. Train your mind to breathe through criticism, to detach from praise, to sit calmly inside chaos, to say, I can handle this. Not because it's easy, but because you've prepared for difficulty. Mental toughness isn't born in victory. It's built in the quiet moments when you want to quit, but choose not to. When you feel the fear, but move anyway. When you want to complain, but instead you reflect. This isn't coldness, it's calm. And in a world that burns itself with overreaction, calm is a superpower. The mind is a battlefield. Train it, discipline it, fortify it, so that when life gets hard, you don't fall apart. You rise. Develop discipline and consistency. Become unstoppable. Through repetition, everyone wants results. Few want the rhythm. We celebrate intensity, but we underestimate consistency. We think the big push matters more than the daily pulse. But the Stoics knew, you become what you repeat. Discipline is not punishment, it's protection. From regret, from chaos, from becoming someone you didn't mean to be. When you wake up early, when you choose the hard thing, when you say no to what weakens you, you're not being harsh, you're being loyal to your purpose, to your future self. The Stoic life is a disciplined life. Not because it's rigid, but because it's focused. And without focus, you scatter your soul across distractions that feel urgent, but leave you empty. Consistency is about showing up even when you don't feel like it. Especially then, the work you do when no one's clapping matters more than the work you post online. The effort you give when you're tired builds a foundation stronger than any motivation. Think of water. Gentle, steady, repetitive. It carves through stone not by force run but by presence. You want to change your life? Choose one small act. Repeat it. Then repeat it again. Build your discipline like a mountain, not in one day but in layers. And one morning you'll wake up and realize you no longer try to be consistent. You are. Keep going when it's hard. The Stoic Code of Endurance. The moment it gets hard is the moment most people stop. And that's exactly why you must keep going. When the path feels uphill, when results are invisible, when motivation dies, what remains? Choice. The decision to persist. The Stoics didn't worship effort for its own sake. They valued endurance, the ability to keep your soul aligned even when the world gives you nothing. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." But that only happens if you stay in the process long enough to be changed by it. Most people quit right before the breakthrough, right before the quiet click where everything starts to make sense. Not because they're weak, but because they expected ease. You must expect resistance. You must invite it. You must say, "This struggle is part of the shaping, and I will not waste it." When you stay the course during difficulty, something in you hardens in the best way. Not bitter, but bold. Not careless, but clear. You stop needing the world to go your way. You begin bending yourself into someone worthy of the life you're building. So when it gets hard, pause, breathe, reflect, but don't stop. Because the version of you who survives this stretch is the version who wins. Become who you were meant to be, not who the world trained you to be. You weren't born to blend in. You weren't created to chase approval. You were made to live with intention, to rise through challenge, not avoid it. But somewhere along the way, the world convinced you to shrink, to follow, to be quiet when your soul was screaming for more. The Stoic doesn't just endure life, they shape it, not through force, but through alignment. To become who you were meant to be, you must let go of who they told you to be. Let go of the fear that holds you small. Let go of the guilt that keeps you stuck. Let go of the need to be liked more than the need to be honest. This isn't rebellion. This is return to your true self, to the version of you that knows what matters and isn't afraid to stand for it. You won't always get it right, but each time you rise, truer, clearer, more focused, you get closer to becoming unshakable. And that's who you were meant to be. Not perfect, but present. Not loud, but deeply you. You are more capable than you know. But you'll only learn that by moving forward. There are entire worlds inside you. Strength, wisdom, creativity, resilience that you haven't even touched yet. Not because they aren't real, but because you've stopped too soon, paused too long, waited for permission that no one can give you. The only way to know what you're truly capable of is to move, to act, to try, to fall, and then to rise with evidence, not just hope. You are stronger than your excuses. You are wiser than your fears. You are braver than your doubts. But none of that will feel true until you test it, until you show up on the hard days, until you speak when your voice shakes, until you stand when no one claps. That's where capability lives, not in theory, but in trial. The Stoics never said life would be easy. They said it would be worthy. And your job isn't to wait for perfect conditions. It's to rise in any condition. So get up, keep going, push yourself, not to prove something, but to remember who you are. Final message: you're not behind, you're beginning. If you're hearing this right now, it means something inside you refuses to stay stuck. It means your soul remembers. It remembers the fire, the vision, the purpose. You are not broken. You are building. You are not behind. You are becoming. The Stoic way is not a loud one. It's quiet, deliberate, relentless. One step, one decision, one breath at a time. So stop waiting. Stop doubting. Start. Start with your next choice. Start with your next breath. Start where you are, because here is where the real work begins. Conclusion: rise with calm, push with purpose. You've made it this far, not by accident, but by decision. You chose to listen, to reflect, to pause long enough to remember what matters. That's rare. That's powerful. That's stoic. And if this message brought you something, peace, perspective, strength, then I invite you to join us. Subscribe to Stoic Zen, not just for content, but for clarity. For a space where discipline is sacred, where growth is quiet, where strength is built not in the spotlight but in the stillness. Until next time, stay grounded, stay focused, stay true.